You are special. You are unique. You cannot be replaced. This is Sajeev Makoda, welcoming you all to this edition of Sajeevam. Today's session will talk about how to help someone battle depression. 1 in 3 people actually suffer with depression. It could even be the person sitting next to you. Never be too proud to reach out and ask for a helping hand. It will change your life. If you see a person acting strange, depressed, and or anxious, try to interact with them. A very close friend would go up to them and ask them out for a nice cup of coffee, hoping they will spill the beans on what's going on and show them that you care and you will be go with them to get the help that they need. If we all put together If we all put our heads together and be more loving and thoughtful towards each other, we can help tackle depression and other things. Actively pursue happiness. See the silver lining in life and be happy about it. If we can spread happiness, it will grow like an infection and you might just save a friend from the darkness of depression. Our guest for the day is Sangeetha Param, author of two books. One is Key to Acceptance, and the other one is Echoes in My Attic. She is a motivational TEDx speaker, depression survivor, and author, as I said. She has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder and was diagnosed in year 2014. And her journey from then till today has been through roads of ups and downs. She is spreading awareness on mental health and the importance of seeking help at the right time and want to help people who are silently suffering due to the huge stigma mental illness carry in the society. She also been invited to mental health conferences outside India, such as UK and Canada, as a speaker. Let us welcome Sangeetha Param.
Hi. Thank you, Sajeev, for kind of inviting me and helping me out with sharing my experience and talking to you and the crowd and whoever is online today listening to me. So I'm just hoping that this few minutes of talk or whatever discussion we are going to have is going to change at least one out of the few people who are listening. And that's it. And it's not going to be a very formal talk, or it's not going to be something about words and numbers and a lot of definitions, but it's just going to be a very informal talk about my life, about your life, about depression, what it is and everything. And it's going to be a totally judgment free space where you can talk anything under the sun. You don't need to go anonymous, but if you wish to go anonymous you can, but you don't need to go anonymous when it comes to depression, because I have battled depression. I am battling depression still, but I have come a long way from from wherever I have come. As sir mentioned, it was in 2014 I was diagnosed, but I have come a long way. I still have a very long way to go. I'm 26 years old, from Bangalore, India. I live with my parents and my younger sister, and I have two cats at home. So I work in an insurance company, and that keeps my Monday to Friday busy from 10 to 6. And on my Saturday, Sundays, I relax. I take some time off, spend some time with myself, and that's about it. Just a normal life of a young adult. But in my free time, I do try to make a difference in society by giving talks on mental health, by trying to give a different kind of a perspective when it comes to mental illness and mental health and everything of that sort. Because a lot of people who give talks are all doctors and psychiatrists and psychologists, but it's very few people who have experienced the predicament who give the talk. Because it's like, a lot of people who listen to talks. For example, when I was in school, we had counselors. Like, they used to come to school and they used to come to our classes and tell us if you have any problems at home, if you have any issues. Because as teenage girls or as teenage boys, we deal with a lot of hormonal changes, there's a lot of problems at home, 10 standard marks, so much of pressures, like there's so many things involved. But I always had the thought, do you know what I'm undergoing? You only tell that you can share, but will you understand what I'm actually undergoing? When you say I understand, will you mean it? Because I will not believe you. Because you have just studied it, you have not undergone. So decided that I would come out and talk, because when I say I know what it feels like, I mean it. I know what it feels like because I have gone through it and I have been through it, and I know what pain is. I know what it feels like to not want to get out of bed. I know what it feels like to wish for darkness all the time, even when the sun is like bright outside and there's like birds chirping, like when it is spring and everybody is happy and jumping around, but you just want to bury yourself in under the blankets, hoping no one sees you. So I know what it feels like. So I just thought that if I could talk about it, I could reach out to more people and help them realize that there are other people suffering and who can understand your pain and that you're not alone. So that is my main intention of, sharing my story of depression. And so today we're going to cover depression and the various different aspects of it. So I'm going to leave the floor to Sanjeev sir.
All right. Yes. So we will talk with the basic
Sanjeev
question.
sir,
What is depression?
I didn't get you.
No, no. We'll start the session. I'm going to ask you the main and the first question. You can talk about it. What is depression?
Yeah. See, depression, the definition of depression is something like happiness. The definition of happiness is what I mean. Where depression is it's a different definition for different people. What depression can mean for me need not mean the same thing for you. But there's a general symptoms of depression. See, depression is that kind of feeling where you are feeling low, you feel worthless, you feel a lot of pain, you feel, you know, there's a lot of low self-esteem. You don't want to get out of bed, you don't want to go in the crowd, you're disappointed, there's a lot of negative emotions running inside of you. But when it comes to, the symptoms of depression, symptoms of depression is more of where you feel this particular feeling for a constant period of time, like more than 2 weeks to 3 weeks, where you don't want to get out of bed, where you are constantly feeling negative. You don't want to you're not able to be functional, where you're not able to do normal things, what a normal person can do. I, even getting up and taking a shower is so difficult. You rather spend your whole day in bed. Even eating can become very difficult. Some people, when it comes to depression, they tend to eat a lot. They binge eat. They eat too much to, to get rid of their pain, to get rid of whatever they're going through. They just eat a lot. Some people cannot even think about the little bit swallowing of a little bit of food is just too much of an effort for them. So it's something like that, and you feel very worthless, you feel very tired, you feel very exhausted. It's like you're running a 10-meter marathon and you're not given a break to even, sit down for 10-kilometer or mile marathon, where you're like not given a break to sit or even take a sip of water. You're so exhausted in life, but it's just very mentally draining, and it drains you physically also.
Okay. So how to identify when one has depression?
See, a lot of people express depression in different ways. I can bring about my case as an example, where
Okay.
my depression was very camouflaged. I was always when in 2014 I was 20 years old. So I was always seen as a happy child, as a bubbly child, as an extrovert who loved to talk to people, who always made friends, who loved to laugh and make fun and joke around. But nobody knew that from the age of 8 9 years old, I have been struggling. Like, I have literally been struggling every night to sleep in peace. I have had so many battles to fight by myself. But every morning when the sun arose, I got up along with my along with getting ready. I got ready with the invisible mask which I put on my face to disguise my other side, my sad side. So it was difficult for others for to identify a person like me is undergoing depression because I pretended all the time, and I knew how to fool people and not get them to identify my weakness. Because I started thinking, because a lot of people, I started watching a lot of TV and movies and TV shows, and there's like the social media everywhere where they keep, like, bullying people who have depression or bullying people who are undergoing something weak. And they say that people like you have, try to do all this for attention. If you cry all the time, you're a person seeking attention. If you self harm, you're seeking attention. Again, you're just doing this to impress people, or, like, to get people to look at you, and you're just doing a lot of drama. That the word drama, that got into my head, and I said, I don't want to be tagged. I don't want to be tagged as a girl who seeks attention. I don't want to be tagged as a girl who does a lot of drama. So it's better to fake. It's better to fake I'm happy. It's better to fake a laughter. It's better to fake a smile. I couldn't fake it for long. They say fake it till you make it. I couldn't make it. I faked it and faked it and faked it. Eventually, I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. So, identifying depression, first, you need to identify it yourself. You have to identify that what you have, whether it is depression, whether it is sadness, whether it is something else. But don't self diagnose. There's a lot of difference between the two. You can't Google and say that these are the symptoms, I'm going to self diagnose myself. Never Google any illness, let it be physical or mental. That's the worst thing you can do. There are doctors who have studied for it. So let's give them some credit, who have spent at least like 8 years of their life studying so much. So we need to go to them for help when let a professional take control. So when you identify that you cannot, like, for example, if you have a fever for 2 days, you take paracetamol, you're not getting better, that's when you go seek help. That's when you know your body is not reacting to the drug, and there's something more that needs to be done. That's similar in mental health, where you're not able to get better by yourself, irrespective of what you do. Whether you talk to your friend, you still come back. Like, for example, I used to talk to my friends. I used to tell them that, look, because everybody says you talk to someone, you will feel better. You talk to someone, you will feel better. I talked to them. I shared. Whatever happened, I shared. But it came back and it haunted me even more. It came back as a bigger demon. It got more fuel and it haunted me even more. That's when I knew I had to seek help. That's when I knew that this is something much more than a normal problem. This is something serious. So that is self-identification of depression. That's when you know that you have a problem. How to know if your friend or a family has a problem? How to know if somebody else has a problem? So this is now I'm going to talk about friends. Okay. So if your friend has a problem, how do you know that? See, a lot of people who laugh a lot also might be sad. Need not, everybody is not perfect. You just have to observe, you know. Why is it so weird that we all go for a summer vacation, we come back, but if somebody has put on weight, we catch it like that. And we say, oh my God, you put on so much weight. But if someone looks low, someone looks has lost weight, or they look a little dull, we never notice it. We just ignore it. But someone puts on a little weight, and there's so much negativity in them. They just, like, we are so attracted to pointing out the negatives of a person, and like, oh my God, you put on so much weight, what's wrong with you? And this, that, and, like, pointing out everybody's flaws, that we forget to notice the core reason of maybe they're putting on weight because of some other issue. Have you ever thought about asking them, is everything okay? Are you fine? Do you want to talk about something? We never make an effort to think outside the box. Everybody says think outside the box, but nobody makes an effort to actually think outside the box. You know, and someone tries too hard to fit in. Someone tries really hard to fit in. You just go sit with them, just pull them aside from the crowd, sit with them, and just ask them, are you okay? Do you want to talk? Is everything fine? You don't have to push them, you don't have to solve their problem, you don't have to give them advice, you don't have to pay for their therapy, you don't have to do anything. Just sit with them in a park bench and ask them, are you okay? Do you need to talk? I'm here for you. These three sentences will change people's lives, trust me. People are longing to hear such sentences from you, and not sentences like move on, let it go, what's wrong with you, it's all in your head. Such kind of statements, we need to bury them and we need to uproot statements like, are you okay? Do you need help? I'm here for you, I'm here to listen. Irrespective of how many ever times they went about the same problem. They might have just undergone a breakup. They might be crying about the same girl or a guy, for a really long time. But you just stay there and listen because you're the friend. That's what friends do. They don't want your advice. They don't want the professional advice from you. They just need someone to listen. And when it comes to family and children, especially when parents uh, identifying for children depression, you know, this came as a bit of a surprise to me. I was just thinking a lot of parents, when kids come back home with lunch boxes full, they don't eat their lunch. They keep coming back. They get yelled at home for not eating lunch. Parents assume that it's them being adamant about being healthy. They don't want to listen. They're trying to get attention. They assume that part. They're being adamant. But have you ever thought that the kid might be bullied in school for being fat? Have you ever thought the kid might be having people looking at them, making fun of what they bring for lunch? You're eating so much. You're so fat. And the kid watches on TV. What does the kid, after going home, they watch on TV? They say if you don't eat, you lose weight. There's so many dietary ads online, and like now everything is online. You just Google how to lose weight. They say fast for 5 days, you lose so much weight. But has the parent ever thought in that perspective, where the kid might be having something much more deeper troubling the kid rather than just being adamant of not eating? So it's more of explanation and education. A lot of people are literate, they're not educated. Everybody has a degree, but they don't apply. They don't they're not applying basic facts, of humanity, I guess. So this is what I feel is about identifying depression, or not just depression, it can be any sort of mental illness in any person.
Okay. And how do you differentiate sadness and depression?
Okay. A lot of people think when they're sad, they're depressed. That happens like a lot of time. It happens to me, it happens to a lot of people. It's normal. Trust me, sadness and depression is not the same thing. And a lot of people take the word depression for granted. It's very easy to say, I'm depressed, I'm depressed, I'm depressed. Because, see, clinical depression is a serious thing. There are people suffering from it, there are people taking medication for it. It's a serious thing. Sadness is when you miss your favorite movie because your parents grounded you and made you sit at home. That is sadness. You feel sad and you feel bad because you couldn't go for your movie with your friends. You can't say I'm depressed because I missed a movie, because that lasts for some time. That's an example. I'm giving an example of what is depression, how depression and sadness comes into picture. See, sadness is just a set of feelings for a temporary amount of time. It's like a cloud, and it's there, but it's there for some time. It doesn't last forever. It's not like tattooed in your head. But depression is not like that. It's kind of like a thunderstorm with lightning and thunderbolts here and there, and it keeps lingering above your head with every form of typhoon and cyclone and storm and everything in your head for a really, really, really long period of time. And it affects your moods, it affects your mental ability to think, it affects you physically to move, makes you exhausted, it makes you tired. Another example of sadness is you're rational. Like, you don't think irrational statements. For example, like, you still know what is right and wrong. Like, you know that you should not cross the street when the for the crossing it's supposed to be if it is red, you're not supposed to cross it.
Mm.
But if you are depressed, you'll be irrational in your thoughts. You will not think. You will just, if you're filled with a lot of pain, that's when suicides happen, because it's irrational thinking. It's not that it's not that they want to do it intentionally. It's just that their mind takes control of their body. They don't know what they're doing, or they don't know what's happening to them. They just take decisions impulsively like that, because they don't know what to do. They don't know whom to reach out to. They don't know whom to talk to. They don't know whom to seek help at that moment, because they're so scared, because they themselves don't know what's happening to them. It's so confusing. It's so unclear. And sadness is another state. See, these are two different states of mind. Okay. See, sadness is another state where, for example, if you're sad today, say for example, you woke up, you had a dull day, it's a Monday, it's raining, you're moody, and it's sad, and it's pissing off. You're going to work, your boss is yelling at you, you're late in traffic. It's all it's like a underlining for bad day. But if I come to you, and for example, if I tell you, hey, you're looking really nice today, what is that, a new dress? Somebody identifies something small in you, which you never even thought. That little effort someone takes to identify, that little effort which you took to make yourself feel better, there'll be a little spark of happiness in you that would make your day. That small spark will help you survive throughout the day, and it'll keep you a little happy. But when you're depressed, irrespective of the no matter what, if you're crowned king or queen, it would not matter to you, because you don't know what's happiness. You don't know what will make you happy. Even though you're like gifted $1 million, you will still be like, I don't care. I just want to smile, and I want to mean it. That is when you know you're depressed. That, I guess, is the simplest way to explain what is the difference between sadness and depression.
True. And involvement of family and friends when one has a illness, it's like depression.
Mhm. Excuse me, I didn't get you.
Okay, I was asking you, what is the involvement of family and friends when one has depression or any mental illness?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Depression. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, every person, like irrespective of mental illness or no, is surrounded by circle, an inner circle, and then there's an outer circle, and then there's a tertiary circle. It's like different circles of people. So it's like family and friends, and then you have acquaintances, then you have colleagues. It's like relatives. It's like different circles around you. It's very, very, very important that the person you are, you have a healthy inner circle. The inner circle includes the closest people you trust. It need not be the other way around, but you need to trust. You have to trust them with your life. And the best people you can trust is your family, even if you hate them. You trust them, because family is biologically trained, and they have to like love you. You like, even if you like do the wrong thing and go to jail, they have to love you, because it's kind of like in the DNA. So basically, it's very, very, very important to involve your family in your inner circle and have a healthy relationship with them. Have your friends. You need not have the whole list of your Facebook in that first circle. Have 2 to 3 friends whom you can trust blindly. Your 2 a.m. friends whom you call at 2 a.m. in trouble. Those are the friends you have to include in that circle. Have a dog and cat in that circle as well. I mean, after all, the four-legged creatures are any day better than humans. And you know that inner circle is very important to keep healthy, because they should be your first, you know, person to seek out help, like, whom you can seek help if you're in trouble. Like, it's there should be your emergency contact. In every hospital, in any place you go to, they ask for an emergency contact. I'm not telling by heart the phone number, but yeah, keep phone numbers by heart. That's not the point. But keep them as your emergency contact in case, like, someone is not there. Reach out to them, talk to them if they need help. Like, if you need help, if you need to express something, if you had a bad day, just sit with them. Go out for a coffee date with your mom. You need not dates need not always mean a boyfriend and a girlfriend. You can go on a date with your dad, you can go on a date with your mom, your brother, your sister. Just go out, sit, have a cup of coffee or tea, have a good conversation, a healthy conversation where you don't fight, because family means fighting. At the end of the day, it's always fighting. But you come back with a smile and a relaxed have a relaxed evening. I'm telling this because, see, I know most of the people who are listening are all Indians, and you know how the Indian parenting system works. Especially I do, because I'm an Indian, and my parents were typical Indian parents until I was diagnosed. Like, marks is like so important. It's so important. Like, my life defined by how much you got in 10th standard. Oh, 90%. Wow. She's the best kid in the world. So that's not the point. But my parents changed when I was diagnosed. They realized that the 90% kid whom they thought was the bubbly, happy kid wanted to take her life away in 2014, and they almost lost her. And they reformed their parenting techniques. They understood that their methods of their parenting were completely wrong, and their approach towards parenting was completely different. I have a younger sister as well. See, it's important how to parent each child. You cannot parent me and my sister in the same way, because we are two different individuals. What may be right for me may be wrong for her, because there's difference of opinion in everything for everybody. But it's important we agree to disagree. That is the highlight at the end of the day. For example, I have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. So what is bipolar disorder? It is a disorder where you have extreme mood swings of mania and depression. So I'm bipolar type 2, where depression is a little more advanced than manic episodes. I do get my manic episodes, but I get depressive episodes in a much more, like, double the times of mania. So, how I use my parents' help when I get my episodes? The minute I'm getting into a manic episode is when I just text my parents. We have now WhatsApp has groups, and we all have family groups. I'm 100% sure of that. I just text them saying, I am getting into my mania. Please don't give me permission to go out anywhere. I just put that on the group, and I make sure my parents, like, follow that, because I have told them when I'm manic, I do impulsive things. I make impulsive decisions. I do stupid things which I regret later and fall into depression because of the stupid things I did. So I tried to I educated my parents, telling them that, see, this is what happens to me, and please help me out at this time. So they know what to tell me, because I have told them what I want to hear. It's important that way. You need to tell them what you feel like. Be honest with them. No. Why is it so hard? You don't need to lie to them and say that, look, I am going out with a girl, but instead you want to go out with a guy. Why? Just tell them I'm going out with a guy. It's not a big deal. Just be honest. Honesty is the best thing you can, it clears out everything in every relationship. Trust me, I know what it feels like, because my parents were so strict. They never used to let me go out with my friends. So I used to feel so bad. I used to tell them, no, I have extra class, and I used to go out and eat in McDonald's. So From there, I have reached to a level where I can tell my parents about my mental health. I can be honest with them. I can tell them that I'm going to a pub with a guy. Till that level of confidentiality I have reached. That level of trust from going out with a group of girls. So that is a transformation I'm talking about. But that can come only when you're honest and when there's good communication between all of you. Sit together, have a family dinner together, communicate, talk about your day. It's not hard. You just have to try. How can you say it will not work even if you don't try at all? Try, talk about it. I'm not telling talk about serious things. Talk about your day, the simple things. Talk about the old man you saw on the road or something like that. General topics. Talk about the cyclone. Talk about random things. We should give a small laugh, a joke, anything. But your inner circle is very important. Family is very, very important. Friends are also important because I have friends. I don't have a lot of friends. I have two, three friends, and I'm happy. I know, okay, I'm lying. I'm not happy. I want a lot of friends, okay, because I want like a like, big thing. I want like a lot of followers on Instagram because I'm young. I'm 26. I see my Instagram. I see other people's page, and they have like 1,000 followers, 1,500 followers, and each time I see the number of followers for them increases and the number of followers for me decreases. It's like an inversely proportional curve and equation. And I'm like, so I feel so bad. I'm like, what mistake did I make to lose followers, and what are they doing to gain followers? And I feel so bad. And every time I go and look at my friends list, I feel like, what am I doing wrong that I'm losing followers? And then I started thinking the other way around. Why should I worry about why am I losing people whom I don't even know? The best part of Instagram is they don't tell you who unfollowed you. That's the best part of Instagram. If they start telling you that, I am screwed. But one thing is, have two, three people of your friends whom you trust. It's very, very important. And social media can mess up your life. Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, because everybody stands and they put up these perfect pictures with the perfect filters. And now everybody in my age group is getting married. That's like the worst thing that can ever happen to a girl or guy of my age, because everybody is getting married and I am in a no relationship, and it is so messed up. I'm having relatives and parents and telling them, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? And there's like nobody knocking on my door, no Prince Charming on a horse. But I know I will get a Prince Charming, irrespective of my flaws, because I'm proud of who I am. I need not, fake it. I did not fake it till I make it because I collapsed. Like that was like a one time thing. That's what I'm. A lot of people ask me, why do you keep saying you're bipolar? It's such a lame, like such a scary thing. Don't share with anybody that you're bipolar. I mean, you should not tell anybody you're depressed. You should not tell anybody you're on medication. You're taking therapy. No, no, no. Shh. Top secret. But it's who you are. It's who I am. I'm proud of myself. If I didn't know I was bipolar, I would have not been sitting here making this conversation today. I would have lost my life long back and haunting all of you. But trust me, because I know I'm bipolar, I know there are 1,000 people out there who have been diagnosed with bipolar and who are doing very well in life. They are having their struggles, they are having their battles, but I still do know that every morning the sun still rises. And I know that today I'm in pain, but tomorrow I'll be better. It's a better day. Okay, it might be worse also, but still, it's okay. You know, I'm still proud of who I am. On the day I got diagnosed with bipolar, I did not cry. I was so relieved. I was so relieved that finally there's a name to what I've been struggling for years together all by myself. There's a diagnosis. There are other people out there. I'm not alone. I felt so alone for years. And on the day my therapist told me that you have bipolar, don't worry, don't freak out. It's like when people diagnose you with such diseases, normally people freak out. But I didn't. I felt so relieved. I was like, finally, hallelujah, there's a moment of happiness here. I felt very, very happy. And I'm glad I'm bipolar because I'm able to help others. I'm able to make differences in life. I'm making my weakness my strength. I'm talking to people about my biggest weakness. I'm talking to people, standing up in crowds, and I'm telling them that, look, I have self harmed. I've been addicted to self harm. I take a knife and cut my hand when I freak out. Normal people, what they do, they run out of the door when they hear people who say they cut their arms. But people who do that, they sit back on the chair and ask, what happened? How do you cope? How do you stop yourself from hurting? How do you stop yourself from self harm? For those people who stay back in the room, I'm, I want to stand up for them and say, I'm here to help, I'm here to support, and I'm here to empathize because I know what you feel. So that is what everybody has to make of their weakness. My weakness is my mental health. What is your weakness? It need not be mental health, it can be anything. What is your weakness? Make it your strength. Try it out. Google that. How can I make my weakness my strength? Don't Google symptoms. Don't Google medication. Google how can I make my weakness my strength? That is what you have to challenge. That is what you have to make as your resolution for 2021.
You have briefly mentioned about the effect of social media. Do you want to add anything on the impact of social media on our mental state?
Oh, that is like we need another session for that, by the way. That is like a huge thing, okay? Because social media affects us really, really badly. Like, even when I'm in a good mood, okay? See, for example, this talk, okay? You sent me sir sent me the poster. I was so excited. I was like, when can I post it? When can I post it? He said you can post it at 3 p.m. The minute he posted and said that I have posted it, you can post it, I posted it. Till today, this post happened 3 days ago. Till today in Instagram, I have got only 22 likes. How do you think I would be feeling? And I'm like 22 likes out of 500 followers. Why aren't people liking my picture? What did I do wrong? How can I get better? If you are doing things for others, stop yourself right there. Today I'm not doing like to please others. Sorry, put please before others. I'm not doing this talk to please someone or to get 22,000 likes. I'm doing this talk to make a difference to at least two people. It need not matter to me whether 22 people like or 22,000 or 22 lakhs. Two people listen to this talk. Two people are live here now, right now listening to this call. Or if no one comes also, I'm making a difference in his life. So I'm happy. That's it. That's all that should matter to you. Because you have to live for yourself, not to please anyone, not to get as many likes as you want. Because it's easy. You just have to click a heart button. That's it, or a thumbs up button. It's easy. By mistake, you miss it, or by mistake, you click it. That's it. If you hate a person, you stop clicking it. You like a person, you click it. But don't go by the face value, no? It's a little bit not right. There's a there's a lot more inside all that. Go a little deeper, dig a little deeper of the person. Talk more of who they are like. Explore more. Explore yourself more first before you try to find flaws in someone. There are so many people who troll. Like, they only give negative comments. I think they're paid for giving negative comments. But they don't know what others feel like, right? So you do it for yourself. Because this talk for me, it matters to me because I'm making a difference in somebody's life. It might be anonymous. It might be someone whom I have never met. But I'm not doing this for publicity or to get a lot of likes. That's just a small example I can give to how to not let social media affect you. Because If it was a few years ago, it would have affected me so badly that I got this 22 likes, but my sister's profile picture got 155 likes. I'm like, she'll post one picture, random picture of one dog, and she'll be like, 155 likes. I put an important status of a talk, and I get like 22 likes. And I compare myself with my own sister, and we bring so many. There's so much of cold war between us because of something which doesn't even exist, which something which doesn't. It shouldn't even matter, because after all, we are family, we are humans. Social media, internet came, it'll come, it'll go. It's just very, it's very materialistic. After all, you're humans. At the end of the day, touch matters, not of the phone, of a human. A human touch matters much more than a phone touch. That's all I would like to say about the social media part.
Okay. Now we talk about the therapy and medication for
Hmm.
depression.
Yeah.
Yeah, could you say about that?
Yes. Okay. So I focused only on the bipolar part. I also
Mhm.
have another diagnosis. It's called borderline personality disorder. So what is this particular big word disorder? This is a personality kind of a disorder. It's not split personality. It's more about relationship issues, fear of abandonment, self harm, low self esteem, and that kind of disorder, which is basically embedded, or it develops in a person because of the environmental issues, like how the person is brought up, the schooling, the peer pressure, whatever the problems they have undergone, like all that mental health of the person. So for bipolar, it's a chemical imbalance in the brain. That's how the mania and depression happens. So there's a chemical imbalance, there's some science behind it, like the cortisol, which is a sad hormone, and the oxytocin, I think. Dopamine. These two are the happy hormones. So when I'm manic, the happy hormones get produced in excess. And when I'm sad, the sad hormone gets produced in excess by the brain. So to control this excess production, I have to take something called as a mood stabilizer. So this stabilizes the production of the excess chemicals. It keeps my mood stable. But sometimes I still go depressed. So that time they introduce an antidepressant to push up my happy hormones a bit more. So it's more of a trial and error method to keep me on the same level. Need not mean that I'll always be normal. There are ups and downs. At the end of the day, I am bipolar. But for borderline personality disorder, there's no medication. There's no medication to tell you how to react when your boss shouts at you. There's no medication to tell you how to break up with your girlfriend or boyfriend, or how to feel after that. There's no medication to stop feeling guilty. It's about how you handle yourself. It's about how to handle your emotions. That's where therapy comes in. That's where professionals like psychologists comes in, who talk about reaction of the brain and its particular, like people who do MSc in psychology and PhD in psychology, that part. Like there are so many types of therapy, like CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Like there's so many different types of therapy involved in treating this type of particular illness, especially for BPD. So they teach you how to respond. It's more of how to respond to different type of stimulus. Like if you touch a hot surface, you immediately touch off. But you don't know how to react to certain situations when you're put in that spot. Right? When you've been a good employee throughout the year, but the boss calls you in and fires you, you don't know how to react. You might yell back, or you don't know what to do. So, how to process such kind of negative statements or unexpected situations or anything of that sort is how to do it. You need to train your brain for that. You can't do it alone. You need a professional to come into picture to help you to think in that particular perspective. So that's where borderline personality comes in. Therapy and medication is like parallel lines. It's like the train tracks. They go together and you are the train. You You meaning the person with a mental illness. So you go parallelly without, if the train track is derailed or there's no one track, the train derails. It's like a parallel thing. You need both. You need to be steady in both. You need to take constant medication. You need to take constant therapy also to keep your brain healthy, to keep your brain healthy and responding to particular type of, like, stimulus, so that you know how to respond. You are trained to do it better. There's a lot of therapies, group therapies there. So many things are there. See, I have been, like, for example, self harm. Okay, I have not self harm in like a year, and I'm so proud of myself for it. I know I have come, as I was telling you, I still have a long way to go. A year is a long time, because that was a challenge for me. I have had so many instances this whole year where I could have given to my urge to self harm, because I'm an addict. I'm an addict. I'm an addict. So it's giving to that urge. It's an alcoholic. An alcoholic, if you keep a bottle of rum in front of him who has tried to quit drinking, the urge he faces is similar to the urge I face when I'm put in a situation of pain. So why does a person self harm? I'm telling self harm. But why does a person self harm? Initially, I self harmed for the first time because of guilt. That happened in eighth standard. Eighth standard, I'm like 12 years old. I cut my hand because I felt guilty because one of my friend told me I was the reason my girl gang in my school was breaking up. I felt so guilty that I went home. Her voice kept echoing in my head, saying that you're the reason. You're the words. You are the reason. So I decided I would punish myself before God punishes me. I started, like, overthinking. I was like, before God punishes me and tells me that, like, you are the reason, let me punish myself and save myself. On the day, on at that moment I self harmed, I felt a lot of relief. I'm like, phew, I'm so relieved I self harmed. Then eventually it started becoming addictive, because after some time I started realizing that I'm having a lot of pain in my heart, but I don't know how to cope. But I didn't know the source of the pain. Like, why was I feeling pain? What is the reason of the pain? I had no idea. Then I self harmed for the first time without any reason. And I felt so much relief after that. I'm like, okay, my mind understood the source of the pain is my leg, because there's a physical wound there. So my mind understood, and it soothed me. It released. It's a chemical process. There's like an oxytocin release in your body, and it makes your brain understand that there's a pain coming from your leg, and you are safe and you're fine. But the blood clots, the wound heals. So again, the emotional pain starts. So physical pain. Again, it's a cycle. It again goes about in circle, and that's how you become an addict. Because you want to convert your emotional pain to physical pain, because it was so much more easier than talking about it. Because you're scared to be judged by your friends and your family. So that is how I became a self harm addict. And eventually I talked about it with my therapist. It took me a very long time to stop it, because each time I felt pain, I ran to, like, hurt myself. That was my escape route. That was my escape strategy. But, I learned that that is not the way. You have to face it. You have to face your fear. You have to face the pain. You can't escape and, try to redirect your pain to something else. So you have to face the pain and, face it with a lot of courage. So that's about self harm. And that's how therapy came into picture, and how therapy and medication is all parallel together, and that's how it works.
And what about the self therapy? Do you want to add anything on that self
Yeah.
therapy? Uh,
Yes. So basically, self therapy comes about yourself. Okay. It's not like whenever you have a problem, you will run to a therapist. That's not the solution. Okay. Anything you have a problem, you can't pick up the phone and say, I have a problem, talk to me. That's not how professionals work. Okay. So you have to find methods where you feel soothed, where you feel calm. where you can express. So I found my method of self therapy in the form of writing. That's how, as he introduced, I published two books. In both these books, there are poems and write-ups which are sad and depressing. Trust me, they are sad and depressing. But I know for a fact that if somebody out there is feeling sad and is depressed and is feeling lonely and has had a very bad day at work, they pick up this book and they just flip through the pages, they read a poem. They know there's a human out there in this world who has felt the exact same way they feel. And it's not something they're thinking and faking. Because when I feel sad, I used to go to Google and write quotes on depression, quotes on sadness, and I used to read each quote. I used to slide, try to find the right quote which used to which would describe what I felt. So I expressed myself. A lot of people ask me, why don't you write happy stuff? Why don't you write about the sun and the birds and the tree and the rain and the snow? I said, there are a lot of people who write happy stuff. There are a lot of people in the world who write self-help books. They write how to heal. There are a lot of people in the world for that. But there are very few people who will write about pain, who will write about what they're undergoing, who will express their pain in the form of poetry and have someone read it and empathize with it. So I have written to empathize, not to, to empathetically give hope, I guess. I don't know. But that is my intention of writing a sad book and publishing it, and I'm proud of it. I write sad stuff and I'm proud of it. So that is my coping strategy. That is my self therapy. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
find music, art,
Oh,
you know,
mm-hmm.
singing aloud, dancing, theater work. They go, they do
Right.
acting. That that gives a lot of happiness. Painting on the walls, wall climbing, traveling. Traveling helps a lot of people, but COVID is kind of stopping all that. Pictures, photography, so many the all the hobbies that that is a lot of self creative stuff. That's what I would like to say as self therapy.
Mm-hmm. Would you able to show your books if you have with
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
just to
yeah.
show?
I would. This is my first book.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Key to Acceptance. It's kind of me with the brain of butterflies. So this is my
Uh-huh.
first book, and this is my second book. It's called
Right.
Echoes in My Attic.
Mm-hmm.
So this has a book. It's a book of 20 poems. This has poems. This has prose and poetry, like the first book. Yeah.
Right. Now the next question is, what is the importance of seeking help at the right time? Could you tell about that?
Yes,
The
that is how can I forget about that? That's so important. See, uh, I was diagnosed in 2014. I didn't tell how I was diagnosed. So that remained a mystery. Let's unsolve the mystery. So what happened was, I go to work. So I go to work in an insurance company, and I left home as usual. My dad works about 40 kilometers from my house, and my mom leaves for work half an hour after I leave from work. I leave for work. So I stepped out of home that morning, hoping, I was wishing I come back dead. I come back dead, and that I made my decision and I stepped out. So I was thinking, should I go onto the rail? Should I go under a train or should I go under a bus? I was contemplating the decision and I decided I would pretend to talk on the phone and go under a bus. But something happened, and something took me to a park. It made me sit on a bench and it made me call my dad. My dad is in a pretty high position in the company and he's always in his meetings first thing in the morning. Surprisingly, he picked up the call that day. He said, "Is anything important?" I said, "Yes, I need to talk to you." He said, Is it that important?" I said, "Yes." He immediately obliged. He got out of his meeting, said, "Tell me what happened." I said, I know this will come as a shock to you, but I want to kill myself. I don't want to live anymore. He said, where are you? Are you safe? What are you doing? I said, I'm in this and this place. Come get me right now. I was scared of my mom because I was scared she would scold me. Okay. But I was a bit closer to my dad because girls and dads, as you know. So my dad said, wait, I need to come get you, but I'm 40 kilometers away. By the time I come, it'll be difficult logistics. So let me send your mother. She has not left for work yet. I will call your mother. She will. I said, no, 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 don't call Amma. She will scold me. He said, no, she won't scold you. She won't ask anything. I will not tell her anything. She will come. I said, don't cut the call. This is so important. I'm scared whether I'll do something. He said, no, count to 10. I will call you back. And he cut the call. I was like, I was thinking, what is wrong with you? Why would you cut the call when I'm in such distress? But he said count to 10. So I started counting backwards. 10, 9, 8, 7. At the fourth second, my phone buzzed. I picked up. And he said, your mother is on the way. Talk to me. I'm going to listen. My mother took 10 to 15 minutes to come. In that 10 to 15 minutes, I was 20 years old. 20 years of what all baggage I had on my back. I just removed everything and put it onto my dad. Everything. I still, till today, if you ask me what was the conversation I had with him, I don't remember. But I just remember how empty I felt after I reached home that day when my mom got me home. I just fell on the bed and I didn't get up. I was so exhausted. I was carrying that baggage for so 20 long years that when I handed it over to someone else, I was so empty. I didn't know what happened. I lost my identity. That fake it till you make it, I never made it. I was just the end happened at that particular moment of my make it part. My dad rushes home naturally as it's an emergency, and he saw me lying down crying, and he's trying to figure out what happened. And me as a kid, I'm trying to overhear what my parents are communicating. We always do that. We kind of are masters at that. We always listen to what our parents are talking. So my dad goes like, why is this happening to us over and over again? First, it's my mother. So basically, my father's mother, that's my paternal grandmother, was diagnosed with schizophrenia and postpartum depression once my father was born. So basically, my father never had a normal mother throughout his childhood and adulthood. Even me, as when I grew up as my grandma, when I saw my grandmother, she was never really the normal grandmother. She had a lot of anxiety. She used to talk to herself, a lot of paranoia. But she still loved us. She was our grandmother. But my parents saw, father especially. But he made a commitment that day. He said, I could not help my mother to become normal, but I will give my 100% to help my daughter. And this is my word. So that day, he took a decision to become my caregiver. And he sticks by his word even today. He is still my number one go to person. If I have a problem, he's the first person I'll call. Anything, let it be anything. He's the first person I will call. Let it be a breakup with a guy, let it be a fight with a friend, let it be a fight with my mom. I will call him first because I trust him and he's my best friend. And like he literally held me, and you know he did not let me cross the line, and he did not let me cross the Lakshman Rekha. He drew it and made me stop myself. And he did not let me stop myself. And he took me to a lot of doctors and therapists, psychiatrists. I was put on a lot of medication. For every symptom I told, I was put on a drug. At a point of time, I was taking 11 medications in a day. And I was so exhausted because these medications make you very drowsy, okay? And I was like a walking zombie. I didn't know what I was doing, what I was thinking. I was just walking around. I didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't remember anything because it takes some time for your body to get acclimatized to these medications because they're pretty strong. And I was tired. I was very tired. And therapy was not working with anybody because they're telling me tasks to do, they're telling me how to get better. I didn't want to get out of bed. Where will I get better? Until my dad said, okay, there's another therapist. I said, I'm done. I'm tired. I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to repeat the stories over and over again. I'm not getting any help. I'm not getting out of bed. But he begged. He said, one last try, we'll go. This will be the last time I'm calling you, but you come. It was a long drive. We went. We sat and I said, I will not speak. You only explain everything. Under that condition, I'll come. And we went. Under that condition, we went, and my dad spoke. He gave a brief introduction of what happened. And the therapist person told me, uh, he told my dad, Param, please wait outside. I need to talk to Sangeetha alone. And he obliged, and my dad went out. 15 minutes, there was pin drop silence in that room. I didn't speak a word. He didn't ask me any question. And I was like, okay, what's going to happen now? Then I broke the silence. I said, I'm sad. He said, yeah, I kind of noticed. Is everything okay? Till today, no one asked me if I was. Nobody asked me if I was okay. If I was okay, if I wanted to fix the problem. That's when I knew he was the one. It's like finding your right therapist and doctor is like falling in love. It's like love at first sight. So that you know you can whom you can trust. You get comfortable. You know whom you want to trust, whom you want to speak your problems with. Because I have referred this particular person to to few of my friends, and it didn't click with them. Just because it clicked with me need not mean he's the person for them. They were comfortable with somebody else. So it's about how you are comfortable. So I started therapy with him twice a week, and we started like opening each baggage one after the other. First was my bullying, then my self harm, and then I am a caregiver to my dad who was diagnosed with cancer. And he's a survivor of blood cancer. And he underwent a bone marrow transplant when I was 9 years old. That was like a huge setback for me. So when I was diagnosed for depression, a lot of people assumed that it was because of my dad's cancer. That they just assumed that, oh, dad's cancer equivalent to Sangeeta's depression. I'm like, no, that's not the reason for my depression. Yeah, but responsibilities came a little earlier to me. I understood the meaning of life and death at the age of 9. When I'm supposed to be living my teenage and, like, watching cartoon, I was like bringing up my sister and ironing clothes and doing our homework together. That was like a sudden shake and change. I was sexually assaulted when I was 11, and that was another huge thing which I kept to myself for a very long time, thinking it was my fault because it was a relative, and I felt it was completely my fault until I was told that it wasn't, and it was completely a misfortune that such kind of a thing would have happened. And then school, friends, peer pressure. I stopped talking to people. And then eventually I started dealing with each of them slowly. Each trauma, I made it a memory and a lesson. Each pain, I transformed it into a learning. I transformed it into a moral. I transformed it into something where I can reopen someday and talk about it like today without having tears in my eyes, without reliving the pain. So that is the transformation you have to look forward. That's what you have to transform every pain to. Today, you might be feeling 100% pain regarding something. It could be anything. It could be a loss of someone. You could be mourning someone's death. You could be mourning losing somebody in your life. You could be like a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you could have had a breakup, or you could have anything. It can be a job. You might be fired from a job. Your pain might be filled in the four different chambers of your heart today. Trust me, in a few months, it'll be into three, and then into two, and then into one, and eventually it will just disappear. But not completely, it will still remain in your blood because pain is pain. At the end of the day, you will still be recollected. Every time it is like that. Something will bring back that particular memory. Something, anything, it could be anything. For example, a keychain. A keychain might remind you of a person, right? You see a keychain and you'll be like, oh, this reminds me of that person who left me, and then I'm in pain, and then this happened, that happened. It's like that's how it works. But that memory, when you remember after a year or a few months down the line, it wouldn't pain as much as you see the keychain today. Trust me. So that's how you deal with it.
Okay. We have a question. It says, did you ever explore option of going spiritual way to help overcome depression? Or
Um,
what is your general spirituality way of depressed people?
okay. See, spirituality is again a very open topic. Okay, a lot of people define spirituality in different ways. Okay, my dad is a very spiritual person. Like he follows Isha Sadhguru, and both of us did the inner engineering thing, the first course for the spirituality process. So I have not got myself into doing the procedure, nor have I got myself into doing yoga. But my dad follows it very strictly. He's a very, like, he wakes up at 4:30 in the morning, and he's very particular with his timetable of following his particular things. He follows. He's a very spiritual person and also religious in both the things. I haven't got there yet. One maybe because of my age, because I still have a lot to explore. Like I haven't. It doesn't mean that spirituality is for old people. I'm not generalizing. There are a lot of youngsters who have got into it. I'm not saying no, but I haven't got my inspiration yet. So I cannot force myself to do something I haven't been wanting to do. I cannot force my mind to think that just because it is so good for you and there are 1,000 people telling you to do it doesn't mean you have to do it at this moment. You can think about it, try to give it a, you can give it a chance. Keep your mind open about it. You don't have to close it completely. Give it a go. So I am trying to get into it, but it is it is still a little, I'm still lagging behind a bit, but I'm trying. I still am.
Hmm. Okay, and you have been attending speeches even overseas also, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because when you compare our social relationship is actually different from Western culture.
The
So,
yeah,
what
abroad.
was your
Yeah.
experience? What was your experience when you visited these places? In such scenario, how they do this therapy or anything related to their culture or our
Um.
culture? The comparison.
See. Biggest drawback in the Western and in the Indian culture of mental health is there's no coordination between psychiatrist and psychologist. There is no communication between them. My psychiatrist doesn't know my existence of my psychologist. So it's like, I'll give you an example. When you go to a doctor with a fever, you have blood reports and you have tests to explain to him what you have. Even if you exaggerate your speech, even if you exaggerate your symptoms, even if you tell your leg is swollen and it is not swollen, your blood test or your report or your x-ray can show you that it is not swollen. So even if you exaggerate it, you can properly tell the symptom, correct? And you can properly get treatment because the doctor knows what the facts are. But when it comes to psychiatry and mental health, it is only by the what the patient tells. If I tell I am sad, even if I'm happy, I will be given an antidepressant to become happy. Because the doctor will only go by what I say. He will only go with the symptoms. He will only go with what I say. But if I go to my psychologist and I tell him I'm sad, My psychologist will pour in 1,000 questions and figure out I'm faking it, because they have studied how the mind works. They have studied how people, play with the mind. So how it happens in the Western countries is the patient first goes to the psychologist, gets a therapy first, gets a assessment first, and then the psychologist and the psychiatrist have a discussion as to what the patient is going through. Then the patient is called in, and the three of them have a discussion, and then that's how the prescription and the medication is given. That is
Mhm.
what is lacking in India. My therapy and my psychiatry is nowhere together. Even though they are in parallel lines, they never meet. Just like parallel lines do, they never meet. There's no
Right.
communication. That is the biggest drawback. So if the, this is the main reason I try to attend mental health conferences abroad, so that I could understand what is the biggest difference, how to bring in such kind of set, establishments in India and everything like that. There's a lot of not technology, communication lagging behind in the Indian mental health culture, and there's a lot of stigma behind it, and also there's not much of awareness about it. In schools and colleges, we don't have any education on mental health. We only learn from mental health about mental health in TV shows. I learned the word bipolar from a TV show. I did not know anything about it from school. We don't learn anything about mental health in school. We only learn about it in TV shows. So
Mhm.
that is so important to educate. Until you know what it is, I mean, I mean, it's just basics. So it's important to bring in mental health in school, like the education.
Yeah, there is one point I want to make here. Basically, the latest nuclear family also a reason, because earlier we used to have big families with grandparents, many family members. You learn not only from your parents but from others also, everybody around you. Even that situation is not exist anymore for many of the
Um,
families. Right.
I kind of have a difference in opinion in that part.
Okay.
Uh, Irrespective of whom you're surrounded with, you can still feel lonely. I may be with a group of people, or maybe with just my parents and my sister. I can still be depressed and lonely, because it's about the involvement of the person and what the person is undergoing. Because
No.
even, like, for example, when I go to my native and when I go meet my grandparents and my extended family, I still don't feel excited or accepted, because more people, more judgments, more opinions, more things I have to face. So that's how my mind starts thinking. Less support. So it depends upon how the people think. That is more of a, that is how it should, that's how I start thinking. So it's more of the fear for me rather than it's just a personal opinion. It's not like it need not be like this for everybody, because there are
Correct.
a lot of families and extended families who are very very supportive to a lot of people.
Mm.
So they are the exceptions, because majority are like how like what I have faced. So I want the exception to become the majority.
Understood.
That transformation. Yeah.
Mm. Do you want to add anything to this talk? Because we almost, I mean, end of the timing of the session. Would you want to add anything else on this?
Yes, I want to conclude. So my
Okay.
concluding statement, I give this in almost every talk. It's going to become so, uh, like you know, evident. Um, Always smile, but when you smile, mean it, because that is like the best gift you have, and that's the best thing you can carry, and that's the best thing you have. And a smile can change so many people's lives. A stranger's life, for example, you smile at a stranger's imagine an old lady with no teeth and a lot of wrinkles on her face smiles at you in the morning when you're so grumpy. Won't you just smile back? Like an involuntary smile would just come back on your face to give back to that old lady, however angry and pissed off you are. So a smile can make a lot of difference, but important, very important. Smile at the person you see in the mirror and mean it. because only that person matters the most, irrespective of anybody. The person you see in the mirror, don't judge, don't ever judge them, don't ever put them down, don't ever, ever treat them below anything else, because they require the maximum respect, and they are the only people who deserve the most respect from you. So that's all is what I want to say. Thank you, and thank you for listening. Thank you for accommodating me on this Saturday evening, and thank you for everything. That's all. And follow
Yeah.
me on Instagram. I'm still the social media freak, anyways.
Okay, I'll be actually posting your social links here in the page once the session is over. And thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Sangeeta, for sharing your experiences. I think it was very moving, and I think it will definitely help people to, support others in this venture.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
thank you so much. Thank you.
yeah. 1 second. So thank you everybody for attending the session today. Good night, and see you again with a news topic next week.